The lights of the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room blazed down on Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh as he shifted uncomfortably in his seat. What had been planned as a routine oversight hearing was about to become the most dramatic moment in recent Supreme Court history. Just moments earlier, freshman Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett had entered the chamber carrying a thin blue folder that her colleagues barely noticed. But Kavanaugh's eyes locked onto it immediately, his usual judicial composure visibly shaken. "Justice Kavanaugh, thank you for appearing before this committee today," Crockett began, her voice calm and measured despite the tension filling the room. The Texas representative, a former civil rights attorney known for meticulous preparation, placed the blue folder on the desk before her. "I'd like to begin by discussing judicial transparency," Crockett said, opening the folder with deliberate slowness. "Specifically, I'm interested in the gap between what justices tell Congress during confirmation and how they actually rule once on the bench." Kavanaugh reached for his water glass, his hand visibly trembling as he took a sip. Behind the scenes 3 weeks earlier, a whistleblower from within the Supreme Court clerk's office had approached Crockett's staff with information about internal court documents that suggested Kavanaugh had taken positions in private deliberations that directly contradicted his sworn testimony to Congress. After verifying the authenticity of the material through multiple sources, Crockett made the high-stakes decision to use her questioning time to confront him directly. "Justice Kavanaugh," she began, "during your confirmation hearings you made several specific commitments about your judicial philosophy, particularly regarding precedent and settled law. Would you say your rulings have remained consistent with those statements?" Kavanaugh leaned toward the microphone with practiced confidence. "Congresswoman, I believe my judicial record speaks for itself. I approach each case with an open mind and fidelity to the Constitution and precedent, just as I pledged I would." Crockett nodded. "And would you say that your private deliberations with other justices reflect that same commitment?" A flicker of confusion crossed Kavanaugh's face. "All justices engage in confidential deliberations," he responded. "That's a core part of the court's process." "Of course," Crockett replied. "But I'm asking about consistency between your public statements and private positions." And with that, the folder's contents began to unravel the scripted hearing and shift the floor beneath the court. 2 years before the Dobbs decision, Crockett said, you circulated an internal memo to the other conservative justices outlining a strategy for overturning Roe, referring to it as an opportunity to finally correct this constitutional error. The room fell silent. Kavanaugh's face froze, an expression the cameras captured in excruciating detail, a look of genuine shock that a member of Congress somehow possessed. "An internal court document." The chairman banged his gavel for order. "If you're referencing confidential Supreme Court documents, I need to understand the provenance of these materials," he said. Crockett replied smoothly, "These documents were legally provided to this committee by a whistleblower concerned about potential misrepresentations to Congress." She held up a second document. An email from Kavanaugh to Chief Justice Roberts dated 1 week after the memo, referencing the strategy and noting it would be prudent to maintain public ambiguity about our intentions regarding Roe until the right case presents itself. The revelation drew audible gasps from the gallery. Kavanaugh's counsel frantically scribbled notes, sliding them toward the justice who seemed increasingly isolated under the bright lights and unwavering cameras. Then Crockett seized the moment. "Justice Kavanaugh, are you saying that when you told this committee under oath that you considered Roe settled law while simultaneously writing memos about how to overturn it, you were just exploring various legal positions?" The pointed question, framing the contradiction in its starkest terms, left Kavanaugh with no maneuvering room. The silence that followed, lasting several seconds as millions watched, was his most damning response. Within minutes of the hearing's conclusion, the hashtag #JustKavanaughMemo began trending nationwide with clips of the confrontation spreading across social platforms. News networks interrupted regular programming to analyze what many commentators described as the most significant congressional oversight moment involving the Supreme Court in modern history. A flash poll, conducted just 2 days later, found public confidence in the Supreme Court had dropped to historic lows. 76% of Americans believed the court had become too political. For everyday citizens, the episode crystallized a growing concern. When judges have secret agendas, do we really have the rule of law? Kavanaugh issued a statement. Internal deliberations among justices often include exploration of various legal positions and strategies. These confidential discussions are part of how the court functions. Crockett nodded, then delivered her closing line. When fundamental rights hang in the balance, the American people deserve complete honesty from those entrusted with protecting our Constitution, especially those with lifetime appointments. The constitutional drama that began with a blue folder on a committee room desk had evolved into something far more significant, a national reckoning with judicial transparency and the boundaries between necessary confidentiality and essential accountability in a democracy. What happens next could change how we view our highest court forever. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown revealing, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, and comment below. Do you believe a Supreme Court justice should be held accountable if their private memos contradict their public testimony? I'll see you in the next video.